Welcome to the Old Fart Geeks podcast. This week on our 10th episode, yay says Milo, we discuss a bunch of old retro tech stuff. I'm Jason Oakley, this is my co-host Will Tompkinson. Hey Will.
Hey mate, how you doing?
It's been too bloody long.
Yeah, it's only been, 4 weeks or 28 days or...
Blame my current job. First announcement on podcast, start new job in just over a week. Yay! Back to 8:30 to 5 instead of rotating shifts of day, night, afternoon, weekends, evenings, crap.
So hopefully we'll actually be able to do some shows.
Yes!
That'll be good.
Back to the old podcasting, being number one podcasters in Australia.
We're number
Nay,
one.
the world.
That's it.
Got to keep your eyes big on the big prize.
Well, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So
what's been going on with you?
Oh, yeah, actually not a heck of a lot. Just doing Aussie Tech Heads and...
Going to the hospital?
doing the whole pregnancy thing, getting scans and getting more scans and tests and some more scans, a few more tests and...
Yep.
Yeah.
Usual stuff.
Pretty much.
So, I got to remember to put the background music on this show since I forgot it the last show.
Yeah.
Not a old farts, but our other podcast, our really, really popular one, which is called...
Yes. The Obsidian Loft podcast.
Yeah.
Our gaming podcast.
Yep. Got to do some more of that soon.
Yep. So hopefully also we'll have live stream now. We've got our bandwidth sorted, so we'll be able to do some streaming now.
Which we're currently doing.
Yeah, well, this is more of a test stream. I don't expect anybody to join us. If you're listening to this or watching this episode, go back in time and then
watch it live.
Go to twitch.tv.
Get a visit from the doctor.
Yeah, that's it.
We decided to do a show about old computers mostly. We do talk about telephones and cars and all sorts of weird stuff, but we want to do a show mostly about computery stuff, 8-bits and 16-bit Zors. And Minecraft, no matter what they say, is not an 8-bit game. It's written in 64-bit Java, running on 64-bit computers. So just because it's blocky doesn't mean it's really 8-bit.
Because if it was 8-bit game, it would run on my Triad 6.
Yep. Even that has 16-bit registers. 8086 was the first one to have 16-bit registers, and the 8088 didn't. Just had 8-bit. Which is why it was weird that the 8088 would come out first. We talked about IBM microprocessors, and then the 8086, which is a smaller number, but the 6 was from the 16-bit registers, which it also had.
Yeah,
just
it was
confuse
weird.
Things.
But that was the case in those old systems. Like, you paid for every little implementation of technology.
Yep.
You could get a 386 SX40 or an SX25. Actually, I think was my first 386.
Mine too.
And
that was my first IBM altogether.
It had no
SX25.
Yeah, had no mass coprocessor, which is what make it.
It was software. I had a software emulator one.
Yep. So, but my board had a socket that I could put a DX chip into the socket, so I could give it an emulator, so I could turn an SX into a DX.
A real coprocessor.
Yeah.
Instead of one that's built into the equations.
Chip. It made Wolfenstein run from like 5 frames a second to like 10 frames a second.
10 frames. That was awesome.
Hey, out of a 256k.
In 640 by 480?
I'm trying to think what card I had in that. Yeah, it was a VGA card.
256.
So it would have been 256. Yeah. It was a 640k, like a 512k, probably a half meg. And that probably would have been an old Trident, I'd say.
Yep. I think mine was 256. Actually, my friend had a card that was 256. I had 512, but because mine was trying to run it in higher resolution with lower colors and stuff, it was really laggy. Especially, I played Aladdin.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really good side-scroller game with lots of cool animation and stuff, and it was really jerky on graphics on my screen, but his was flowing really well. I'm like, but my card is 512 and yours is 256, you suck.
It was.
I just didn't have proper drivers or anything for it.
That was smooth on my old bloody 286. Man, you must have had a pretty poxy system.
I did, that was, yeah. And Commander Keen, that was one of the other old games. Jazzy Jackrabbit, you ever play that one?
Jazz Jackrabbit, I spent a lot of time playing that game.
Everybody had that one. Commander Keen and Duke Nukem. Yeah, that one there. Aladdin Speed Run.
Yeah, all the old side scrollers, they were definitely the way to go, weren't they? Like,
Yep.
they,
My cousins absolutely adored Commander Keen.
I
There we go. Oh man, the nostalgia is killing me.
I had a lot of trouble with Commander Keen. I don't know, it would like crash every second level. Like I'd play one level, I'd get to the next level, I'd get through the next level,
Yep.
and it would crash. So I'd load it up, but it wouldn't have saved that last level. So I had to play like every 2 levels I played, I only progressed 1 level. So it took me a real long time to get through that. Like it
That's
was
terrible.
It was
You have
so
Jazzy
annoying.
Jackrabbit playthrough.
Yeah, Jazz Jackrabbit, that was cool. I had Jill of the Jungle was another one.
Oh, I don't know that one.
What's the old Jazz Jackrabbit? These are all the new ones.
A lot of stuff was by Apogee.
Yeah,
I should look up something about them.
those are people. Yeah, Jill of the Jungle was one. There was another side scroller. I actually used to quite enjoy that. It was
Here we go. The original Apogee Software was established in 1987 as Apogee Software Limited. 1994, Apogee established its 3D Realms brand for publishing 3D games distributed by the company. By 96, with 3D video games dominating the industry, the Apogee name was dropped and all games by the company were published in the 3D Realms brand. Games from Apogee, Duke Nukem Trilogy, Rise of the Triad.
I used to love Rise of the Triad.
That was great fun, that one.
Oh, it was a brilliant game. It was really... It was so simple, but it just worked.
Yep.
Something about the dual... I think the dual wielding. It was one of the first games I ever played that was dual wielding.
Yeah, that was awesome. And you hit the... oh, what was it?
Bounce pads.
Bounce, yeah. How'd you know I was thinking of that? You just had to, right?
Yeah,
Of course,
the bounce pads. Cool. And you had the hidden walls.
Yep.
Like you could go through some of the walls.
id Software, they were the ones who started off with Commander Keen.
Yeah, they did. Well, they did Doom and
Eventually, yeah.
all that sort of stuff.
Founders of id Software met in the offices of Soft Disk, developing multiple games for Soft Disk monthly publishing. So what's some of the stuff listed under Soft Disk? Let's turn up that.
Oh, they did
Lodestar
Quake
for the
too.
Commodore 64.
Ah, Lodestar.
Discworld for the Macintosh.
Wasn't there a Load Runner? Wasn't that a
Yeah,
game?
Lode Runner was an awesome game. The guy had the monsters coming at him and they always head towards you and you had to pick up the gold. And I always like to see a updated version of that for Android and iOS. Would be cool.
I wonder how would you play them though? Would it just be tilt?
Or those fake virtual buttons which never work very well.
Yeah, they never work very well and they take up too much of the screen.
Yep.
You could probably, a game like this you could probably use for tilt though, honestly, because
Yeah. I've talked to friends about the Bluetooth joystick devices that you can plug your Android phone in and stuff, and one of my friends has tried like 3 of them, paid, heap of money for them, and they're all crap. So they're too laggy and
I mean,
stuff.
some are okay, but yeah, they're not great. I remember, what about what was it? Bubble.
Bubble.
Yep.
That was
Bubble.
fantastic.
Yeah, that was a lot
With
of fun.
Bob and Bub the dinosaurs.
Oh, is that their names?
Yep,
That explains
Bob
the
and
name of the
Bub.
game, I suppose.
Yeah.
I spent so much money in the arcade playing this.
Same. And you could blow a bubble
ridiculous.
underneath yourself and then move up the screen with it.
Yeah. It was very, very, for such a simple
concept.
platform game. It was very technical.
Oh, so much fun too.
Great. Had a lot of fun playing that.
So I was just reading about Soft Disk. Gamer's Edge was a monthly PC game disc started by John Romero, who became id later. The disc developers were John Carmack, John Romero, and Adrian Carmack. Tom Hall, then a programmer, worked in the Apple II department of Soft Disk, would come in at night to help with game design. These developers later left Soft Disk to found id Software. To complete their contractual obligation to Soft Disk, they did several more games for them, including Dangerous Dave in the Haunted Mansion, Rescue Rover, Hover Tank 3D, Rescue Rover 2, Tiles of Dragon, Catacomb 3D, and Keen Dreams, the lost episode of Commander series.
Commander Keen. So if you're wondering why it was called Soft Disk, this is why. Because it was actually literally a floppy disk back in the day.
I had one of those 1541s. They were great.
They were.
The 1541C was even better, the slimmer ones. You get it to, if you vibrate the heads at the right speed, we had this program, you put it in there, it'd play, Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer, do. That was just the head vibrating back and forward. Oh, look at that. It's double notching.
It's double-sided disc now.
You can flip it. Oh my god. Such high tech. You can even do it with a pair of scissors.
You can.
Which I did many times.
Yep. It's amazing, wasn't it? You can't do that with a CD or a...
Well, you can.
Well, it doesn't work real well.
Doesn't work too well afterwards. Founders of id Software met in the offices of Soft Disk developing multiple games. They included Dangerous Dave and other titles. September 1990, John Carmack developed an efficient way that would perform rapid side-scrolling graphics on the PC. Upon making this breakthrough, Carmack and Hall stayed up late at night to make a replica of the first level popular 1998 game Super Mario Bros. 3, inserting stock graphic of Romero's Dangerous Dave character in lieu of Mario. When Romero saw the demo entitled Dangerous Dave in copyright infringement. That's hilarious. He realised that Carmack's breakthrough could have potential. The team would later form id Software, immediately began moonlighting, going so far as to borrow company computers that are not being used over the weekends and at nights to design their own remake of Super Mario. Despite their work, Nintendo turned them down, said it had no interest in expanding to the PC market, while they're coming to iPhone soon. And Mario games were to remain exclusive to Nintendo consoles, which has still been a bad idea. Around this time, Scott Miller of Apogee learned of the group and exceptional talent, having played one of John Romero's Soft Disk games, Dangerous Dave, and contacted Romero under the guise of multiple fan letters that Romero came to realise all originated from the same address. Oh, these guys are comical. When he confronted Miller, Miller explained the deception was necessary since companies at the time were protective of their talent and the only way could get Romero to initiate contact with him. Miller suggested they develop shareware games that could distribute. As a result, id Software team began development of Commander Keen, a Mario style side-scrolling game for the PC. Once again, borrowing company computers to work on an odd hours in the lake house in which they lived in Shreveport, Louisiana. December 14, 1990, the first episode was released as shareware by Miller's company Apogee, and orders began rolling in. Shortly after this, Soft Disk management learned of the team's deception, suggested they form a new company together, but the administrative staff at Soft Disk threatened to resign if they did that. In a legal settlement, the team was required to provide a game to Soft Disk every 2 months for a certain period of time, but they would do so on their own. On February 1, 1991, id Software was formed. Yay! Shareware distribution method was initially employed by id Software through Apogee to sell their products such as Commander Keen, Wolfenstein,
That's it.
and Doom games. They would release the first part of their trilogy as shareware, then sell the other 2 installments by mail order. Only later, about the time of release, Doom 2 did id Software release their games by more traditional shrink-wrap boxes in stores. Company name, the game writes its name with a lowercase id, which is pronounced as in did or kid, and the book Masters of Doom has said that the group identified itself as Ideas from the Deep in the early days of Soft Disk, but in the end id came from the phrase in demand. It is presented by the company as reference to the id, a psychological concept introduced by Sigmund Freud. Evidence of the reference can be found as early as Wolfenstein's 3D with the statement, that's id, as in the id, ego, superego, and the psyche, appearing in the game's documentation. Prior to an update to the website, id's history page made reference to Freud. Commander Keen, Wolfenstein, that was good fun. Doom, Quake, Quake 2, Quake 3, Doom 3.
Yeah, Wolfenstein was a lot of fun. My favourite was when I started playing Doom was the hidden Wolfenstein levels inside Doom 2.
Oh, yep, yep.
And there was also some inside Duke 3D.
Yep. The thing about this was all the sprites in here are actually 2D, but in a 3D environment.
It's all what do they call it? Multi-point 2D.
Yeah.
So everything's two-dimensional, but yeah, it just sort of. But even most of Duke Nukem Doom was mostly 2D.
Yep.
Because if you notice, you didn't actually look up or look down.
No.
It wasn't until Duke 3D was really the first.
What was one of the first games that used to do that? It was you flew in a plane through tunnels and you could go down and flip over and it went into 3D. Do you remember that? LABYRINTH. Yep. Oh, what was that 3D game? I used to play it so much.
Ken's Labyrinth was a predecessor to Wolf, really. It was out before Wolfenstein. I think it's actually touted as the first, I guess, 3D style game.
Yep. Descent, that's it.
Descent.
You ever play that one?
Yeah, I used to love that game.
Bring that one up on the screen. That was awesome. They had several versions. I played that so much.
It came with 95.
Yeah, and the red ships come after you, and that was scary. Here we go.
Yeah. At the time, playing this on a 486 DX4100.
Yep.
It did not like it.
No.
It have all the graphics turned right down, and the worst part because it was one of the first games that had a true 3D environment, it was very easy to get disorientated.
Oh yes, I did that so much. I'm like, I don't know where the hell I am.
And you'd end up upside down, and you're trying to go up, and things were going down because it wasn't smart enough to flip the controls.
Yeah.
It had flipped you, but not the controls, and it's like, why am I going? What?
Yeah. And we used to play this with the serial cable connected between computers in the house.
Yep.
I think I mentioned the long serial. See, here he's going sideways, and then down the hallways, you think that you're going one way and you're going another way.
That's it.
Then you have to go into those rooms there to the right and release prisoners or something. Hewson, that was the one that my Cyrix wouldn't install, let alone play. So I got a new
I could never
chip.
I could never get Hewson to install. I just copy the files onto the C drive and then ran it.
All right.
It would not install. It just.
Yeah.
I think the CD was balked because it wouldn't work on any computer.
Yeah.
But there was Hewson and there was Heretic.
Yep.
They were somewhat similar games. Ironically, both released about the same time.
Yeah.
But this was another one that I could never install. This was actually the first game that you could press plus or minus to shrink the screen. So if you had a slower computer, you could hit the minus key and you could actually bring the screen size down.
Render less, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I think I vaguely remember this one now. I didn't remember from what you were saying, but it looks a bit familiar. I didn't play it as much as Hewson.
It wasn't played as much. I don't think it was ever finished. I only remember it being only in shareware. I don't remember a full version ever coming out.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it may have, but I don't remember it.
Yep.
And the other one around the same time was what was it called? Of course there was the good old-fashioned Stunts, which
I think I remember you talking about this one before.
was basically one of the first.
Too.
Yeah, this was basically one of the first driving simulators. You could build your own track, and you could go and race it, which was awesome. You pick all different cars and stuff, and it didn't matter. Like, that was all.
Reminds me a bit also the one that I played on the Commodore 64 and the Amiga called Test Drive.
Yep.
You could pick like a Ferrari Testarossa and.
This was sort of the prequel to all that. This sort of started at Test Drive, and that was come out after this.
Yep. What's this one running on?
I don't know what it's actually running on. Been emulated PC.
PC.
Yeah. It was on a few. This was actually even bought out on arcade at one point.
Just when the polygons were coming into fashion.
Yeah, exactly. That's what started it. I never got any better.
It's got Commodore 64 Stunt Car Racer.
Yeah, Stunt Car Racer was alright.
Descent offers competitive multiplayer gameplay for up to 8 players over LAN, touted being one of the first games to allow initiating sessions conveniently from a menu, as well as on the fly joining a multiplayer games, whereas many similar games of the era, such as Doom, is presumed all players have to be queued prior to initiating the match. With the event of internet IPX clients such as Kali, do you remember that?
Yeah. And then 10 took over.
Oh, you got Whizball. I love that game. It was so cute and fun.
This was on Commodore 64. Yeah. I spent hours playing this.
Wiggle your joystick to activate the bubbles.
Yeah.
And that's a little fella is called a Catalite because it's a wizard that's in the first ball, and the little one's got his pet black and white cat in it that goes in the Catalite, and you can send him off to shoot the mobs and shoot the spaceships and stuff. And you just upgrade, so when you first start off, you're just bouncing everywhere. And you upgrade so that you're stabilized and can move left and right properly and up and down, and then you get shooting, and you can see all the upgrades up the top of the screen.
Yeah.
And the idea is to pick up the color paint droplets, because you had to color the world. It starts off black and white, and when you get enough of the paint droplets in the tubs down the bottom, you go into an intermission where you mix up the colors, and then you play a colored version of the level.
One thing I was amazed with, I mean, this is on the Commodore 64, the amount of stuff going on.
Yeah.
You know, there was no frame rate drop, there was no lag, there was no affecting gameplay.
They pushed that so far past what it was designed to do.
Oh.
Like switching off the borders, as you can see, the top and bottom border is switched off. That's not supposed to be possible. But they found by tweaking a certain location in memory a couple of times during the vertical sync interrupt, the computer graphics chip would actually crap itself and switch it off. And then later on, when they got really hardcore, they could switch off the side borders as well.
I think that's one of the reasons I like this game, because you had more gameplay screen. Yeah, you had more real estate that you didn't normally have.
Yeah.
So let's skip forward a bit here to where things get a bit more advanced. So now you've actually got terrain and stuff as well.
Yep. So you shoot those circles, they turn into water droplets, and you send your cat down to pick them up. I like that. Tish. They had great music too.
I did.
My current phone music when anybody calls me is Whizball.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's the cat, and he's mixing up the colours there to paint the landscape with, and his cat's having a drink.
It sounds exactly the same way I remember too. Like, that's how I remember it sounding.
Yeah, when my phone rings, goes doom 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 doom.
It's there was another one I played a lot. I think it was Pingu on C64. Yeah, I think was it. That must have been
Penguin.
I know. It must have been that one.
I liked the Penguin one where you got to push the ice blocks around. It was a good arcade game. I played that so much.
That's the one I was trying to... oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, try Penguin. And it had... oh, you're going to have all the latest ones.
Yeah.
Pengo.
Pengo, that's it.
There we go.
That's the one.
Yeah, that was so much fun. And it played Popcorn.
Yeah.
And the snow bees came after you, and you had to squash them with the ice. And if you had got the 3 diamonds side by side touching, you finished the level.
When I started playing, it took me ages to figure out that's what I actually had to do.
And if they go near the wall and you hit the wall, it stuns them, and then you can walk over them. There he goes, he hit the wall. Now, there we go. Pick him up. Now, because you took too long, they grow feet and they start smashing the blocks themselves, making it harder for you.
Yeah.
Got him.
It was kind of a cross between like Pac-Man and and Breakout. Not
Yeah.
Breakout. What was that one called? The mining one. Mine something.
Not Pitfall.
No,
not
but that was
that
another
Pitfall.
cool game.
Not the one I was thinking of, but Pitfall, yeah, was an Atari one, wasn't it?
Yeah, the old Atari Pitfall. There it is. That's the one. That's exact the level. The stupid crocodile. Yeah, that's the one. Wow, they've recorded this actually off the TV.
With a camera sitting in front of it.
I actually really enjoyed the music for this game, I think. The only thing that bugged the crap out of me was Activision had to put their logo down the bottom, didn't they?
Yep. They did that on all their games, I think. Man, this
pretty
guy's
much.
got mad skill.
Why?
He's going well.
Yeah, I could play this for hours.
Yeah.
These are the ones I used to miss time sometimes.
Yes. Suddenly there's this pit underneath you. No, I mean he just runs across the screen, grabs on, bounce, bounce, bounce in the right methods
Yeah.
and stuff. That.
Yeah, that one, especially when you're doing that. That's where you get caught out. But yeah, I tried running down the bottom, and you literally can just run forever.
Yeah.
As far as I can tell, it was basically a free roam game. There was no start or end. I could never find one.
Yeah, where's he going? Back to the start again.
Yeah, well, you get to a wall and you got to go up. Like,
Whoa, that's dangerous.
well, that's the thing with these games. You always had to keep pressing across when you change screens because you never know where you were going to come out.
Yep.
You had to adapt as you went. Oh, Moon Patrol.
Ah, it was so much fun. Get the arcade one.
Moon Patrol. X-Men. Pole Position.
Everybody had that on all their computers. Had it on the Commodore 64.
Yeah, played that a lot. There was it Outrun? I think was the other one.
Yep.
Yeah. I think it was called Turbo in some places.
3. Outrun.
Yeah, that was always a lot of fun. I always enjoyed. Because you can do 280 kilometers an hour. So, yeah. What else was there about that time? I'm trying to think of the old games, but it's Donkey Kong, of course. Can't forget Donkey Kong. I had Donkey Kong on a double screen fold out one.
Yep. And Donkey Kong Jr. There's a link I sent through that I wanted to talk about as well. The guy I'm talking to on Facebook and Twitter is Rob and what's his son's name? The Hewson Consultants. They made a lot of games back in the day, and they've got a book and stuff coming out, hints and tips for video game pioneers. And I backed it on Kickstarter. They said we could play one of their songs on our show, so I might add a few of them in the background of this show while we're watching some of the things. But they had a lot of popular ones from Steve Turner, Matt Gray, Uridium Tell, and others with really cool games. On the ZX Spectrum, Commodore 64, Amstrad CPC, BBC Micro, Atari ST, and Amiga. Games for all of those. And I'll just bring up Wikipedia. I'll have some of their games listed, no doubt. So 1981 Space Intruders, Pilot Quest Adventure. There's some of the more well-known ones. Paradroid, Gribbly's Day Out. I used to love that on the Commodore 64. That was a really cool game. Uridium. It's a really, really cool side-scroller. Cybernoid, Synapse, Nebulous, Rhinorama, Eliminator, Stormlord. That was really cool. Deliverance and Zarathustra, a lot of really popular games from back in the days. Andrew and other members of Hewson management went on to form 21st Century Entertainment after Hewson shut down in the early 1990s, releasing several chart-topping games as Pinball Dreams. You know that one?
I love Pinball Dreams.
Pinball Fantasies and Pinball Illusions. Andrew was also founder of ELSPO, European Leisure Software Publishers Association, which continues to be a European regulating body for video games. Although Hewson Consultants closed in 1991, the game is still covered in retro gaming press. Many of their hit titles, including Uridium, Paradroid, Nebulous, and Cybernoid, have been recently launched on Nintendo's Virtual Console game download service. Pinball Dreams and Pinball Fantasies have also been released as iPhone apps. Time for you to get an iPhone, son.
Let me think.
I just got an iPad mini, so they also spawned the company Graft Gold, which was founded by Steve Turner, who is a programmer. Graft Gold was formed in 1983 when Steve Turner decided to quit his day job as commercial programmer to concentrate on producing computer games. Realizing his ambitions were too much for one man to realize, he hired close friend Andrew Braybrook. Anyone from Commodore 64 would know Andrew Braybrook to work for him. After Reese spelled developing games at Dragon home computer. There's something for you, Dragon. Graft Gold soon turned their attention to the more lucrative Commodore 64 and ZX Spectrum markets. Much of Graft Gold's early success came through their association with Hewson Consultants, formed by Andrew Hewson in the early 1980s. Hewson Consultants became one of the UK's most successful computer game publishers, whereas many publishers at the time relied on larger parent companies to handle manufacturing their products. Andrew Hewson owned his own cassette duplication plant, affording them much greater control over the ability to respond to market trends. Hewson were eventually bought out by 21st Century Entertainment, as mentioned, but left behind a legacy that includes more than fair share of classic 8-bit and 16-bit games.
There's Double Dragon.
Double Dragon, yeah, that was great fun. Really popular fighter back in the day. Took your girlfriend, you could see her knickers.
It was horrid. Like, it was so bad.
You're that guy on the right, not hitting anybody at all.
Oh no, the AI, there was no AI.
No.
It was just like playing follow the leader. And you could walk through a dozen stages before you had to hit anyone. Yep. How did he die on like the second screen? Seriously.
No reason.
How do you even do that?
He was very tired. He needed a rest. There's a bar in Melbourne called Bartronica, and they have old classic games. They've got 1942.
Yep.
How about that one? You've got some screenplay of that.
Oops.
I used to put so much money into that one. There we go, second one there. Yep. How often you play this one? First salvo.
Yeah, I'd play it semi-regularly. I didn't play it that much because I wasn't that good at it.
Yep. I wasn't that good. I still played it.
I only ever got to like the third or fourth level. I couldn't go any further. It didn't seem to matter how much I played it. I didn't get any better at it.
Yeah, same. It's still fun to play though. And what else was I thinking of? They've also got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, I was playing that before.
Up to 4 players on the one console.
Same as The Simpsons.
Yep.
It was the same sort of deal. You had multiple characters and things. Wow, that's a true arcade ROM. Check that
out. You recognise that from having worked in one of those places.
Oh, I got to know all those things, man. And I could read it in that period of time too.
Yep.
It's interesting, actually. This game was one of the first games that actually had, one of the first games I can remember that actually had cinema graphics.
Yep, yep.
You know, like had a lot of cutscenes and stuff like that.
There was one game that was all cartoon and it had all preset things, but you had to do it at the right time. I can't think of what that one was now.
Was that one of the shooting ones?
No. There was a guy, and he had to rescue a girl or something through caves and caverns and stuff. You had to just time your actions, but to do a full cinema cartoon.
Oh, okay.
It's going to drive me crazy now. People are
Is
listening.
this the balloon? Yeah, this is the balloon, isn't it? I think. Oh no, this is the big boxer dude. I used to use Marge. I found Marge was the best.
Yep.
This is the balloon. I still love using Marge. I don't know. I don't know what's the game. What else did I play? Oh, what was it? Ghouls and Ghosts?
Yep. Ghosts and Goblins.
Ghouls and something like that.
There
Ghouls
you
and
go.
Ghosts.
Ghouls and Ghosts was a sequel to Ghosts and Goblins. Dragon's Lair was the one I was thinking of.
Oh, Dragon Slayer. Yep.
Yep.
Well, this is later on in the game. It didn't start like that. You didn't have anything. Oh wow, here's a mile. I never got that far in. Wow. I only got like 3 levels in.
See something interesting, check out this link.
Every time you do that, it walks like.
It's from a friend of mine, Ausretrogamer, I talked to on Facebook and Twitter, and they've remastered Ghosts and Goblins and re-released it that you can play. It's got a whole ton of new levels, new graphics, new everything.
Cool.
I think it's like more enemies, better graphics, much
What
bigger
console's
levels.
that?
It's a Commodore.
Yeah, I know that.
128D.
Oh, is it the 128? Oh, okay.
Looks like, yeah.
I didn't know they had a separate keyboard at any point. That must be one of the last ones.
Yep. That was the one that could switch into Z80 mode with the CPM and everything. It was a dual boot device. You can see there's a list a bit further down the page. It tells you all the updates. 2 completely new levels. 4 levels are twice the size. All levels new graphics, new unique tune. Each boss has a new tune, new sound effects, new bug-free sprite multiplexer. Game maps, new jumping skeleton enemy, moving clouds completely recoded. Arthur can turn around while jumping so he can shoot backwards.
Yeah, that was always a pain.
And when you die the first time, you lose.
Yeah.
But you could get armor back and create a bonus by going to one of the rocks at halfway through the first level before the water and just keep shooting your daggers at the rock.
That's right. Yeah, and it'd break it and get it back. Yeah. Yeah.
And then on the Commodore 64 they had Ghouls and Ghosts. Came out as a sequel.
I had this.
I had the one on the left.
I had both of them.
And the right, yes.
The one on the left was heaps better.
The one on the right broke too easily.
That was shocking.
It had those leaf switches.
Micro switches.
That easily broke.
Yep. What else is here? Actually, this is interesting. How many of these do I have? Yes. Okay, I had all those.
All of them.
The quick shot was my favorite. I love my quick shot.
Yeah.
I used to have. It was good because it had rapid fire.
Yep.
You could lock the button down on the rapid fire, so it was great for shooting games.
Okay. One of my friends had a joystick that had mercury switches, so it didn't have a base, and you just held it in midair and you move it left, right, tilting it, and then you push the button on the top. But the problem was, because you wanted to have a base for your hand, because you played it for so long, your hand would get tired. You put it underneath. The cable came out underneath, so eventually the wires would snap. You'd have to solder them back in again, and because you wanted to have that base, so in the end it was like, well, it was a really good idea and super cool with mercury switches, but you got to have one with a base on it still.
I had one of those zip sticks. I just used to snap the top off it all the time.
Yep.
And I had one of these things, and it just was completely useless. It wouldn't even, just didn't. it lasted like an hour.
No point to it.
No. I never had one of these. A friend of mine had one very similar, but it was slightly too small to leave on the desk and slightly too big to hold in your hand.
Yep.
So.
Do you remember a game, Spear of Destiny?
Yes.
Yeah, that was another one by Ed.
Oh, really?
Looping back to what we were talking about earlier. Yeah. Spear of Destiny, also called Spear Wolfenstein 3D, Spear of Destiny, or just SOD. 1992 first-person shooter video game by Ed, published by FormGen. Is it a prequel to Wolfenstein 3D?
I was going to say, yeah. But it was released... Was it released before or was it released... No, it was released after that, wasn't it?
Yeah. But made as a prequel.
Yeah. I think they fixed up the sound engine a little bit at this point, from memory.
I like how the guy down the bottom, his face would change when he gets hit.
Yeah.
It looks like he's beat up and stuff.
That was pretty cool. I used to like that. They had some really good ideas with that sort of stuff.
Yep. And talking about old computers, you were mentioning before the Acorn, like the Acorn Atom.
Yeah. The
Acorn co-founder Chris Curry had quit working for Clive Sinclair to pursue his goal of creating a computer kit for enthusiasts. The result was Acorn Series 1 motherboard, launched in March 1979. Acorn's next machine needed to complete the complete system, albeit one users were expected to assemble themselves. The result was the Atom.
Yeah, I like the... This was the first system I saw, was the RISC PC 600.
Yep.
It was a twin case design. It was... The cases were modular. That actually clicked together.
Yep.
And every time you clicked them together, they could be joined together with a daughter board.
Yep.
And that, as default, down the bottom had the RISC system in it.
Yep.
And then you put your expansion card in here for your CD and stuff. But then on top, you could put another module with these daughter boards. This is the ARM daughter board, but you could get PC ones.
Yep.
So you can actually, the system itself, there it is. That's it there. That's a 486. Yep, that's a 486 DX4100 CPU and daughter board. So you could actually plug that in, and you could actually have. Why is this? Why don't we zoom out now? I broke it. I broke the computer, everybody.
Well, there's a first for you.
Get back. Thank you. And yeah, so it actually let you turn it into a PC. So not only could you run all the RISC technology and all that sort of stuff that which is what made it fast. I mean, that's why it was as powerful as it was.
Yep.
But you could run Windows under it as well.
Yeah. And of course, that's where ARM has come from, Atom, with the RISC architecture. Acorn became ARM, and now they make CPUs for most mobile devices like phones and stuff.
See, because I had a 96 was the one I was looking at. It was a 200 meg ARM CPU.
Yep.
Which was, in 1 year, they went from 40 megahertz to 200 megahertz.
Fast.
And then, but at the equivalent PC was the 486 DX4100.
Yeah.
So it was twice the speed of the equivalent PC at the time.
Yep.
2003 they actually stopped making it, so. But yeah, they were a pretty intense system. I remember looking at one and I was nearly going to get it for graphics and video processing. Like, there was nothing that could touch it at the time.
Yeah. Yep.
So
most of the
powerful.
normal computers had what was called CISC, complex instruction set computing, but theirs was reduced instruction set computing, RISC, which meant that the CPU had fewer instructions to work with to do exactly the same thing. So it ended up being a lot faster because it didn't need a lot of complex instructions to do the same sort of stuff.
To steal a line from RISC is good, RISC is the future.
Amstrad CPC464. One of my friends in high school had that, and I played Roland in the Cave and Roland's just about everything, because they brought out a lot of games based with this Roland character, which were copies of other games but with this Roland guy in it. And I was thinking of, I was tossing up between getting an Amstrad CPC464 or a Commodore 64, and I knew more people with Commodore 64s, so I got that so I could get more games, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
But the CPC464 was a pretty cool machine as well. The keyboard that had a built-in data set, and you just plug it into your monitor. It went, and it had pretty colours for all the function keys and shift and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, around the same time, there was a lot of things being offered. Like, you could also get the Amstrad.
Alan Sugar.
Yeah, Alan Michael Sugar Trading.
Amstrad.
Which is what Amstrad stood for.
Look at that.
My cousin had this particular one.
Yep.
At the same time, I had my Commodore 64, and we both had, I think it was Grand Prix 1990 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to admit, the processing ability of the Amstrad was greater than the Commodore 64. The graphics was better, the sound was better,
Yep.
the gameplay was nicer.
Wow. That's
So-
amazing. And I think Amstrad was a Z80 based machine, whereas Commodore 64 was 6502.
And yeah, so I don't know what it was. There's something about that. I've always been a big fan of that system. It was very incredibly stupid keyboard layout. If you can see there,
Yeah.
you can. Whoops, what have I done? You can see the arrow keys up on top of the keyboard.
Yep, in the top area.
So yeah, the keyboard layout's a fair bit to be desired, but
Yep.
the system itself was basic one.
And
The Amstrad 64X.
yeah, and then they had the CPC, what is it, 6128.
Yeah, was the big one. That was the one after this one. That was basically their last hurrah, pretty much.
Oh, what's that? 1986, Amstrad bought the surplus stock and manufacturing rights of Sinclair Computers together with Sinclair brand name, but not the company itself.
Yep.
Ah, that's interesting.
That's why the Spectrum ZX2 and the Spectrum 3 were produced. I had one of the CPC. Actually, I had two of the 6128s. Both of them had, when you booted them up, you would get one letter at a time.
Yeah.
Coming up on the screen, in the corner of the screen. And after a while, I eventually read it, and they said parity error in both of them. And neither of them had, nothing was standard. They had weird monitor connections, they had weird everything, so I couldn't use anything, unfortunately.
Yep.
Because I must have been a fault, because they both went within, I was using one and it started playing up, and then I swapped to the other one, and within a month it started playing up. So it must have been just a common fault in these systems.
Yeah. Yep. Commodore
Parity
6
error, that'd be RAM, wouldn't it?
Some sort of memory error, yeah.
Yeah.
And 1981, as we mentioned, Commodore brought out the Commodore 64, a successor to the VIC-20, and before that they had the PET, which, what were you saying that was? The
I'm actually just trying to find that. I had it in this document somewhere, but I got so... I'm actually, if you're interested, you can go to the fcet.staffs.ak.uk, which is a Staffordshire University Computing Futures Museum computer page. But seriously, if you want to know about the history of computers, that's definitely the place to go, because they have everything here.
One of my friends had a VIC-20 before Commodore 64, and we used to play games on that. That was really cool.
Yeah, the PET, the Commodore Personal Electronic Transactor.
Crazy name.
Was the home personal computer produced from 1977. It was the top seller in Canada, USA, and UK educational markets. Then they, of course, had the best-selling Commodore 64 in 82, and declared bankruptcy in 94.
You ever play with the Trash?
No.
Trash 80?
Doesn't sound familiar.
TRS80?
TRS80. I know of it, but I don't think I ever.
Ah, it was a Tandy computer, TRS80 color computer. Friend of Dad's had it, and when he visited them, I go play bowling games and stuff on there with really bad 2D animated keyboard graphic type stuff, not real graphics, but also thanks to the use of Microsoft Color Basic, Dragon 32 computer was a near duplicate of Tandy's TRS80, which we call Trash 80 color computer, but with a non-calculator keyboard and better ports. It had 32 KB of RAM and Motorola's 0.9 MHz 6809E CPU, which was more sophisticated than the popular Z80A and 6502, but much less well known by UK programmers.
So 0.9 megahertz.
Yeah. How fast, right?
No.
Jupiter had the Jupiter 8 with the designer of Sinclair ZX Spectrum's electronics and writer of Sinclair Basic. You thought the Jupiter Ace couldn't fail to succeed, but it wasn't that good. Richard Altwasser, the hardware guy, and software wizard Steve Vickers made two mistakes. In place of the increasingly well-known BASIC programming language, they implemented revolutionary microcomputer language Forth. And that appealed to an emerging group of programming nerds, but bigger gang of school kids need to hack micros. It wasn't any language that they spoke. While the 3.25 MHz Z80A 1K RAM based Ace was cheap, it was black and white machine at the time. All the key rivals were color, even the Spectrum, which the two had just completed. So some really bad ideas. Auric brought out by Tangerine Computer Systems, Offshot Auric Products International. There's a Tandy.
Turns out I actually did use one. I wanted to look it up. I knew I used a Tandy, but I didn't know what it was.
Yep.
We actually had, when I was working at Lismore Grand Prix, we had our timing system running off one of these.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it was really, really popular.
Yeah,
a lot of the
2
original
megahertz
games that were arcade were ported to there, and then there are a couple of people, Dubai and McNamara, who did Tandy games, were hired by Dick Smith and Video Technology to make the same games, port them over to the VZ.
Okay, yeah. Graphics adapter. I was just looking, Radio Shack. Yeah, see, it must have been ours. We had a graphics adapter in ours.
Yep.
Because it used to control the light board for the timing stuff on the go-kart circuit. So it must have had, that's why I wasn't sure, because it wasn't a standard model. I remember it had the case off and had wires hanging everywhere.
Speaking of go-karts, I raced one last Sunday.
Yeah, and you lived to tell a tale.
Great fun. I beat a bunch of 12-year-old kids and my ex-wife. So.
They're brilliant fun, aren't they? The best thing.
And my ex-wife's like, oh, our daughter is so crazy a driver. She came second, but she wasn't that far behind me. I found her difficult to overlap. But when you've got a lot of other 12-year-old kids that are going, slow as, because they didn't want to touch the accelerator lest it exploded in their face or something, so they're all puttering around the edges and crossing over slowly. We're trying to zoom in between them and overtake them. I'm trying to catch up to her and stuff. And unfortunately, when it started, one of the kids didn't realise how accelerators and brakes work, so she just put her foot down on the accelerator, came flying around, and one of the other kids was doing the slowest speed ever that you could tippy-toe faster, and went bam straight up the back of her. Said, lucky you had your helmet on, or she would have had concussion because she smashed her head in the back of it. And she said, okay, that's it for me. She jumped out and let them take it back. So no more racing for me. But yeah, it was really good fun. And laser tag, and they also did dodgems. There's an Amstrad.
Yep, that's one of the Amstrads in use, playing a racing game of some description.
I know that game. It's like Jump and Bump or something.
Yeah.
Spy Hunter.
Acorn, Adam.
BBC Micro.
Yeah. This is at a conference. Oh, okay. Yeah, I just had all sorts of old systems set up.
Drill.
But A310, 3010.
I wish I had the space, because when I was in Sydney, it's probably nearly 16, 17 years ago, is a guy who has a ton of old computers, and he had the Sydney Old Computer Museum, and he wanted somebody to take over everything, but you'd have to have a place for people to come view them and talk about them and stuff. And if I had the money, I would have taken it over from him, because he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do with all this stuff. I can't afford to keep it going, and people need to be aware of this, and they need to see these old computers. I'm like, I so much want to take over, but I just don't have the dollars.
I know, it's so annoying, isn't it? I had one of these old trackballs.
Oh, yep.
They were so useless. That's a laser disc.
Yep.
Big laser disc reader.
BBC LV-ROM.
There's one in here. They look weird with the LCD screens.
You
It
can
doesn't
see
look
some
right.
Aquarius there with a blue keyboard.
Yeah. There's an old compact portable PC. Cartridge slot.
Jupiter Ace is one of the white ones further up the back.
That's a
ZX.
looks like early
I know that one.
Atari. Yeah.
I should know that
Is
one.
it-
It says Star Raiders. Well, there, Tiger. This photo's a maximum
Yeah,
size.
I tried to. It's interesting.
Whoa there, Tiger. Settle down there, Mr. T.
Don't you be randomly
What's
clicking.
going on? I can't read that logo next to the Star Raider.
No, unfortunately.
Uh,
There you go.
What
Big
the heck
MFM.
is that, folks? Does
Oh.
anybody recognise it?
We were talking about those a couple
It's
episodes
a
ago.
doorstop, isn't it?
Were they MFM hard drive?
Yeah.
MFM, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably 4 meg or something like that.
Seagate. Ah, look at the pretty drives.
They were a very stylish system, weren't they?
Yep. ZX80.
Mm.
You got to do a picture of my VZ200 and VZ300 computers. Haven't had them.
See, I love that you could literally use a tape deck.
Yep.
It didn't have to be a special player. It could just be an audio tape deck with audio out.
Yeah, on the VZ, if you had the right, I think there's like the volume level had to be 3/4, and then you could use just about any. But they did have their preset one that was set to the right volume and speed and everything. There's VIC 20 that somebody spray painted blue.
I like that. It looks good.
Look at the giant cartridges they had.
16, yeah, the 16K RAM cartridge.
16K should be enough for anyone.
More than enough. 686 PR166.
Cyrex.
Yep. Compact flash. Adapter boards. What have we got?
RM
The
Nimbus PC 186.
Ooh, power. Not much in there. Couple of daughter boards. That would have been very similar to the IBM, I'm assuming. I actually wanted to show. Whoa, man, seriously? That
Somebody's
sysadmin
bad
needs to
at
be shot.
cabling.
The reason I brought this up actually was what they affectionately call a toaster. I was talking about Amstrads, about Acorns before.
Yep.
And they're stackable. And there we go.
Pizza
So you can
oven.
literally just keep, yeah, you can literally just keep stacking them on top of each other and filling them full of stuff.
Nice. I remember the old arms. They had kits where you could make a robotic arm. I remember one called Alfred. They had in magazines. It's like you could make your own robot arm.
I had the crane.
You just
Yeah.
Mega CD from
Mega
Sega,
CD.
16-bit. What the heck is that?
Acorn Electron.
Ah, color
Really?
graphics.
BBC Micro Master Series. So,
It's like Clive Sinclair up the top back there.
yeah,
That was
it
a-
was.
Rubik's Cube solving robot.
I don't like robots that are smarter than me.
That's
Acorn
all of them.
Yeah, I know, right? It's every robot ever.
The pizza oven.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, someone's made an SD adapter.
Nice.
Wow, 64 meg. That'd be like every game ever released.
And then some.
So, it's amazing what they do to make things work. Like that's a graphics card that's been adapted outside of the case
To
to make it
It's got
work.
like a serial cable on it. Apple IIe.
Apple IIe. Yep, I got a couple of these. Well, I thought I had a couple of these, and last time I was at Dad's place, I couldn't find them.
What was that game? I know that game.
That's a robot.
Hacker. I think that was Hacker. There was a game
Oh,
called
okay.
Hacker. You had this robots in it. Yes. That was good fun. You forgot the VZ200 and VZ300 screenshots.
Can't do everything.
You're the screenshot man. I should capture my own screen at some stage for this show.
Yeah.
Then you'd be out of a job, son.
Yeah, I know, right? What am I looking for?
VZ200, VZ300. There we go, with the 16K RAM cartridge in there.
Add-on module.
There's the joysticks, they were terrible. They only had the leaf metal ones that broke really easily. Data set, that's the official Dick Smith one.
That's why it came with everything.
It's made by Video Technology in Hong Kong, and Dick Smith rebranded them and imported them into Australia. You can see the inside there with a little piezo speaker.
This has been modified somewhat.
Yep. There's Attack of the Killer Tomatoes up the top there.
Wow, that looks like that's a problem.
Yes, that means you've got to... Oh, that's a demonstration of split screen.
Okay.
Yep, so you could do graphics on the bottom and text on the top. There was timing, man, that was difficult for people to do. There's the manuals that you got with it. Hacker's Delight lets you copy just about any game. I use that so much. There's a company in Australia that advertised in all the magazines called Celestron Software, and they had Hacker's Delight and Ghostbusters and a bunch of other stuff. And Hacker's Delight's the only thing that we found people actually had a copy of. A lot of people sent off money for this Ghostbusters game that was supposed to be really good, but nobody ever got a copy of the game. They sent the money off and it never arrived. And my dad had paid by check, so after a few weeks of not hearing anything, we just cancelled the check before they cashed it. And so that way we got the money back, but a lot of people just lost all of their money.
I actually really like Ghostbusters. That was a great game on the Commodore 64.
Yeah. And you press the space bar while it's going and it says Ghostbusters. Dun, 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 dun.
And Slimer and...
Wow, it's like Game Boy version.
Actually, I had Ghostbusters. It was cartridge, actually, on my Commodore 64. It was a cartridge load.
Oh, okay.
He's been playing this for a while because you start off with the Beetle.
Yep.
So
somebody found out there was, if you typed in the name Wade Farrell, whoever that was, and a particular number, you could jump ahead levels. Because it would create a code based on your name. So if you play Ghostbusters for like an hour, and then you save it, it would create a code based on whatever name you typed in, and then the next time you used any copy of Ghostbusters on any computer, you just type in that and it'd calculate where in the game you should be.
Oh, okay.
So I sent that into one of the Commodore 64 magazines in Australia. It said, type in this name and you get it, and they put it as a tip of the week kind of thing. Well, that's terrible graphics compared to Commodore 64.
Yeah, I don't know what version this is. That is pretty
Nintendo,
ordinary.
I think.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, that explains the graphics then.
Have a look for a VZ300 up the top.
You
see the difference. They haven't had proper keyboard. In Germany and England it was called the Laser. In Australia it was VZ from Dick Smith. You can see the difference. There's a VZ200 on the left and the VZ300 on the top and the right. Different styles.
They still didn't have arrow keys and stuff at that point. They weren't really gaming systems, were they?
Well, they sort of did. If you held down control in the bottom right corner of the screen, there were 4 keys you could press up, down, left, right that would move it around, but it wasn't dedicated arrow keys. And you have to do a search for the VZ200 and the word Arkaball. Arkaball. Yep. There we go on the left. It's a game that I made. Whoa! I can wait for the VZ. And you can see that's my website, vzalive.bluebilby.com. So on the left you can see the VZ version, on the right is the arcade of a lot of the games.
Dawn Patrol. That was cool.
Yep. Not quite as 3D as a lot of other systems, but it did the trick. Scramble,
well,
that was a good one. Dig Out was Dig Dug.
Dig Dug. That's what I was trying to think of earlier. Yeah. It's got old Space Invaders.
Galaxin. Pac-Man was called Ghost Hunter. Hamburger Sam was Burger Time. Hoppy was Frogger.
I could never do that bloody game, eh? I struggled so much with Frogger.
Yep.
It's about timing. I didn't have timing figured out.
Yeah. And of course, a lot of the popular 16-bit machines, Commodore Amiga, Atari ST, all of those were really popular as well. I was tossing up at one stage to get a Amiga 600 or a 2000, and I never ended up getting any of them, and I really should have. I bought a mouse for one of them, and that was as far as I got.
It's like on the Super Nintendo when you bought the mouse to play Mario Paint.
Yeah. Was the only thing it was for. Even the VZ, they had a light pen, and somebody eventually made a type of mouse that you could cobble together yourself, but it wasn't really that popular. Most of it was just typing with the keys and the joystick to play games.
64. So I'm just looking through some old games, bringing back memories.
Yep, you got 1 minute.
That's so good. I still wish I could find. There was a like an architect's mouse or something that I used to have, and it had dual sort of like scroll wheels underneath. One was horizontally mounted, one was vertically mounted. So when you'd move the mouse, it'd
really accurate.
Yeah.
High precision mouse.
I don't, and I've no idea what to call it because I've never been able to. I couldn't remember what it was called, and I've never been able to find it. No matter how many Google searches I do.
That was like me trying to find my old Telstar game that I had with the light gun, and it had Pong and tennis and soccer and all of that on there, and car racing and stuff. Took me forever. All these Google searches. Eventually, I found. I think it was called Telstar. It looked a lot like it.
No. Yeah, no. That's the problem sometimes. Is trying to find something can be a little bit complicated.
Yeah.
But
even if you have mad Google foo skills.
Well, yeah. The problem is you type in if it's a vague description, it doesn't really help.
No. A mouse with horizontal and vertical wheels.
Yeah. And like, and so then, so anything that's got a ball in it with an optical sensor.
I think I know the one you're talking about because it does sound familiar, but I wouldn't be able to think of what it was either.
No, and I only seem to remember about it during the show. I'm going to keep Googling it. I'm going to try and find it before next show.
Well, you keep Googling yourself, and everybody else, thanks for listening and watching another episode of the Old Fart Geeks podcast. Make sure you subscribe in iTunes or your other favourite podcast application. You can also watch our show on YouTube at youtube.com/oldfartgeeks. Don't forget to subscribe so you'll keep up to date with our shows.
That's it. Don't forget you can follow us on the Twitters. Our accounts are Warlock, WAULOK, and Mr. Tompkinson, MRTOMKONSON. And our show's account is, of course, at Old Fart Geeks. Music for the show is provided by the Free Music Archive.
And we might have some music in the background from Hewson Consultants because they messaged me today on Twitter and said, "Can you put some of our music on your show?" And I'm like, dude, we would love to. If we could do that for every show and have old music on there without people worrying about copyrights and YouTube taking down our audio.
No, we can't. We're never putting any of your music on our show ever again.
So, thanks for listening, everyone. Catch you next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.